Google is undoubtedly a powerhouse in the tech world. They've been a significant contributor to AI advancements with innovations like AlphaGo, Gemini, AlphaFold 3, which we've just discussed in the previous episode, and various other machine learning applications. A couple of days ago, CEO Sundar Pichai highlighted plans to revamp their AI systems after they experienced issues with their Gemini image generator. I'm sure you've all heard about those particular challenges. And he discussed a shift to conversational AI in search to enhance user experience. He also stressed the importance of distinguishing real from synthetic content and how he remains focused on innovation and AI's potential to transform technology and business. So, Raj, how does Sundar's comparison of Google's late entries in other tech fields like search and email to its current position in AI reflect on the company's ability to compete and innovate in this kind of rapidly evolving AI landscape we find ourselves in at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great point there, Megan. But before we get into this particular question, I want to just talk about this because this is like mind blowing. Yesterday, they released a new set of tools and upgrades which they've done, and I counted 17 different innovations. So if it's okay with you, Megan, just gonna count them out to you and actually read them out because I can't remember all of them, just so you can see how they are committed to innovation within the business and AI. So the first one I have over here is Gemini 1.5 Pro, an enhanced model with 1 million tokens context windows for long context applications. They promised 2 million, by the way. Gemini 1.5 Flash, a lightweight model optimized for tasks requiring low latency. That means you can do much faster AI. Imagine like in seconds you can run, which is competing with the latest ChatGPT 4.0, which they launched there for yesterday. Gemini Nano for on-device. AI overview expanded further in Google Search, so you can have Google Search with all the instant comprehensive answers. Ask Photos for creating Google Photos. Notebook LM for enhanced with Gemini 1.5 Pro for creating audio overviews of study guides. Google Workplace integrations is turned that. That's number 7. Synth ID to expand watermarking on tools for AI-generated images and videos. Circle to search in Google Photos and Google and Android phones. Video FX for generating video creation from text and images. Imagen 3 for enhancing image generation models. Music AI Sandbox for a suite of AI tools for creating new instrumental sections. VO for generated video models for high quality video production through prompts. Learning Coach, Project Astra for developing AI assistants. Gemma models for Gemma 2 models, which is 27 billion parameters. And then their own hardware as well, TPUs. So like in one day, they launch all these different things and they are literally on something massive. Now, I must say this as well, just for the listeners, that the proof is in the pudding. They did launch a lot of stuff before as well. And when I go to do these talks on AI in different cities, and they ask me, ChatGPT was a Gemini, I'm like, Gemini, don't worry about it. But today, I'm rethinking all that. I'm thinking, hey, there is something big here, and they are committed to innovation. And we need to think about Gemini and Google as a very tough competitor to OpenAI and ChatGPT. So yeah, so now let's get into the comparison on Google's late entry, right?
Yes.
Because yes, historically they always enter the market late, and that's it. That's true for even other companies as well, who will not jump on the first bit of innovation. They'll come innovate after. Even the Google search was not the first search engine. There was Ask, there was Yahoo. They came later and they did a great job at it. So with Gmail versus Hotmail, Gmail was launched much later, and they did a great job at it. Saying that, they have also failed at stuff as well. For example, social networks, they never could get it right. They had a thing called Orkut, AORKUT, and they failed again and again to make it big. Then they had some other Google Plus. That didn't really work out. They had other things as well, and it just kept failing one after the other. So they are good at some things, they're not good at other things as well. Time shall tell if data entry for them and process improvement can help them stay as a leader in their space. But they are making a lot of changes, and they're also, in some ways, cannibalizing on their own business model of search engine advertising. So it's interesting and exciting, but equally nerve-wracking for them as well.
Yeah, yeah. Let's dive into the challenges that they faced with the Gemini image generator. What are the implications of those issues for the broader AI community? And how might Google's approach to retraining their model set a precedent for handling similar challenges in, AI development across the board?
Yeah, so again, a very interesting debate about not only AI, but also company culture. The company culture at Google it's a bit different. There is it's not only about innovation, it's actually about to save what they have because they are worried about search engine advertising, and to save that and to minimize cannibalization of the business model is really important. So everything they do is a bit on the back foot. It's not like ChatGPT, OpenAI, because they are a startup in many ways, although they are, billion-dollar company, revenue company. Still, they can innovate further because they have the liberty to do that. They can make mistakes and they can get it wrong. Google
Yeah,
can't. There's a lot at stake. And so keeping that in mind and certain other company culture, like being having a fair policy towards different people, having being very inclusive, it's an important part for them. So in the last image generator, they basically balanced out people's design. So when you asked for George Washington's image, it was, he was black, for example, and clearly no, that's not true. So there's this company culture stuff, which kind of got in the middle of all of this stuff. And actually, at the end of the day, the focus of a company in the space should be innovation and focus on innovation as the key part of it to keep trying different things out. When you have such baggage, it becomes hard and challenging. So what they've done in yesterday's release, they have rebuilt the photo generator or image generator ground up. And that's really bold, but it's the only way. They got it wrong terribly and they had to get it right. And sometimes the best approach is start fresh. And so in this scenario, in this case, they have just shoved the thing in the back burner and got a new one out and said, we'll use this. And this is true for, it is not the only time it's happening in AI. When Tesla worked on its visual, so for example, computer vision, initially it had different scenarios for different use cases. So the most challenging bits about AI is the edge cases. And so how do you fix them? So Tesla did was that they had different scenarios with different cases and instructed the AI to do different things. That didn't work. And then they realized that actually, we'll just start all over again and build a new computer vision model. And they trained the AI by giving a lot of instances of different edge cases, and it learned itself a better model. And now what they have is better than what they had before. It's sleeker, more compact, and faster, and probably cheaper in the long run as well. So sometimes it's best to just start fresh and solve the problem in that way.
yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned that these companies should be focusing on innovation, but innovation is generally expensive because, you still have to pay the bills while you're busy innovating. So, you know, how, with the transition from traditional search engine results to conversational driven formats, might this shift impact user experience and Google's advertising revenue model, which obviously relies very heavily on search engine advertising?
Well, this is really interesting, and I've been hearing and and talking to a lot of people, I recently heard the CEO of Perplexity AI talk about their vision for the future. And remember, they are a competitor to Google. They are doing searches in a better way. And he was saying that the advertising model is a genuine way to pay the bills for Perplexity AI. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a it has worked. The big companies, the Facebooks, the Googles, some of the top owners in the history of mankind, and the top owners in companies, the top 10 probably, are run by advertising as a business model. Even Amazon makes a lot of money from advertising. So you can see that there's a trend there. Advertising is a great model. Now, Google has had the opportunity to have this business model for many years and has been the unbeaten champion. But in comes AI, in comes challenges, and perhaps this move of actually enhancing their search by giving answers is not a bad one. If they have enough sources listed out, actually, it could be the evolution of search. And every time you get a link back to the source website, that link will mean more because now you will click less links. And whenever you click on it, it's because you really care about it. So the cost per click could be much higher, maybe not $1, could be $10, for instance. So it can still work really well. But again, with experimentation and AI and science and everything else we do in life is trial and error. We try it, fail at it, we try again, we get it right eventually.
Yeah. Now, one of the big issues since OpenAI kind of launched to the public, the whole kind of synthetic content or kind of deep fakes and that kind of thing. So it is becoming more difficult to distinguish real from fake content that is created by AI. What measures do you think Google should implement to ensure the reliability and trustworthiness of its AI-generated information?
Well, yesterday they announced Synth ID, which is their way to watermark these different content pieces, images, and video. It's really hard to watermark text, but everything else you can. And that's something similar to what OpenAI is doing as well. They also have metadata within the images and meta descriptions as well to kind of make sure that if the content generated using AI is highlighted. This is the only way. I mean, we need to be transparent about how we find the data, how we create the data. If it was done using hand, that should be highlighted. If it was done using AI, that should be clarified as well. So I feel this is the right step, it's the right approach, and we will eventually have a standardized way of doing this when all these different big tool providers will agree on one format. For the time being, to live with each one having their own way of marking what's real and what's AI.
Yeah. How is that going to affect the average Joe who just uses the internet to, Facebook a little bit and send a couple of emails? The reason I ask because all of these kind of so-called digital watermarks are hidden in the metadata, but that's the average internet or the average content consumer is not looking at metadata. So it has to go into an analysis in order for you to see that the content is genuine or synthetic or AI generated. So how do you think we're going to get to a point in the future where you're watching a video on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll be able to tell immediately whether it is AI generated or real, because obviously the kind of dissemination of fake news and misinformation is already a big problem, and it can be kind of made a lot worse by AI deepfakes.
Yeah. So just to kind of mention first thing, there is no foolproof way to stop AI being used in image creation and video creation without being detected for what it is. So you can recreate the image to kind of look like it's built by you, but actually it's not. So that's always there. Now, saying that, if the image was just created using OpenAI or Gemini, there will be future platforms like YouTube. If you're using a tool to create your music, Spotify will figure out, because there will be a indicator, the file itself, that this is using AI. But there's also ways to bypass that as well. They can recreate the file, you can take a picture of the image itself and recreate it, for example. So there's no foolproof way. But I think in the future, you will at least get the basic ways to detect if the image on Facebook, X, which was previously called Twitter, or YouTube, were built using AI. They'll do the basic checks and they will put that as a marker for the average Joe. So they understand this was done using technology, not hand drawn or hand created, for example. And that will help quite a bit, but it will not eradicate the challenges you see.
Yeah.
Either way, it's good practice to mention the content produced is using AI, because if we don't, eventually it will be highlighted and we will be penalized for it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Raj. To the listeners, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Is Google justified in their kind of slightly delayed approach, or are they behind the times? How do you think it's going to, how their kind of developments are going to play out in search engine? And what are your thoughts on detecting fake content on the internet? Pop us a comment or a message. And obviously, don't forget to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Until next time, thanks, Raj.
Thank you, Megan.